Great. Thanks, Elliot. As you said, my name is John Weiss. I head up the IT and Informatics group at Relay Therapeutics. We are a relatively young, small molecule drug discovery company located in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We were spun out of Third Rock back in 2016. We're a platform-based company where we are trying to understand how proteins move over time to come up with novel therapeutic approaches. We do this by pretty cutting-edge experimental and computational techniques. So I'm going to talk about chemical space, so let's really start at the beginning and define it. Chemical space is extremely vast. We've only synthesized about 100 million compounds, but it's estimated there's about 10 to the 63rd drug-like compounds that are possible to be made. Obviously, we'll never be able to make all those compounds, so we need a way to virtually evaluate them. Just to quiz Elliot to see if he paid attention to the slide deck I sent them, how many drops of water are there in the ocean? It's pretty close. So there's 2.7 times 10 to the 25th drops of water in the ocean. So this is many, many, many orders of magnitude larger. So what's changed to make it so that we can start interrogating more of this chemical space? There's been a lot of advances in science and technology recently that has enabled companies, especially small companies like Relay, to really take advantage of them. First one, a lot of you obviously know, is there's been massive advances in GPU computing. Like every new generation, they're significantly faster. And then hyperscale data centers like Amazon make it possible to commandeer a large number of these instances and then give them back when you're done with them. You don't have to go and buy 100 GPU cluster. You can just borrow it for 25 minutes. But what some of you might not know is that there's also been a huge expansion in the readily accessible virtual compound libraries. This is important because if you can't get the compound, people don't really care about it. You can't convince a chemist to go and synthesize all these molecules. So it's important, especially with like high throughput screening hits, that you can buy them and get them relatively quickly. So the enamine real database is a good example. There's about 680 million compounds that you can order, and they can synthesize about 100 or so of them within 3 weeks with an 80% guarantee of actually being able to deliver them. And if we look at the self-organizing map on the right, this is comparing the enamine database to Chembl. Chembl is a database of compounds that have been made and have experimental bioactivities. So we can see that both databases are often their own areas of chemical space, and there's a mixture throughout as well. I'm sure with the next generation of enamine's database, we'll see even more coverage, more green circles, basically. So how can a company like Relay leverage these advancements? Since the beginning, we've spent a lot of time building out computational workflows, both with AWS as well as other collaborators. And we've been really trying to empower our computational chemists to be able to ask questions that before they couldn't have done. And I picked an example I want to go through because it was built out by a summer intern. His name's Nicholas, and he was able to do something that a couple years ago it would have taken an entire team of professionals to do, and he did it in a couple weeks. So what did he do? Nicholas built out a workflow for evaluating 3D compound similarity. So it's kind of what it sounds like. You take a query molecule and you compare it in 3D space for shape in electrostatics to find other compounds that are similar. But at the same time, ideally, they look different, as in, it's not just like one atom, that now it's got an oxygen instead of a nitrogen. Use case for this is a high throughput screening hits. You might want to try to find a new scaffold. So you have, one compound is active. Let's find things that could also bind into the same protein pocket. And so the tool we use to do this is called FastRox. Its predecessor was called ROX. ROX ran on the CPU. Each comparison is called an overlay, and ROX was able to do about 2,000 overlays a second. And you can see once they ported it over to GPUs, they appropriately named it FastRox because it was about a 1,000-fold boost. And with every new generation of GPU, it basically continues to double. So if we wanted to take the enamine real database, make 10 conformers per compound, we end up with 6.5 billion conformers. That would have taken 40,000 CPU minutes, or about 50 minutes on a P100 GPU. So what's Nicholas's workflow look like? Well, we use AWS Batch, as we've heard about before. Does an awesome job at handling all the scheduling and execution of compute workloads. So we have a computational chemist. He submits his query molecule over to AWS Batch via script. AWS Batch will then go and spin up a number of instances. This particular workload takes around 26 GPU-enabled instances. What it's going to do, each instance will pull down a chunk of the database, which is about 50 gigabytes per chunk, 1.3 terabytes in total. And it'll process its individual piece of the full data set. As they complete, they'll go send the results up into another S3 bucket, and the last one will go and consolidate this down into a single report that's sent to the computational chemist. So how'd that go? So we built out a few other workflows in Batch, and I knew it would be pretty straightforward. And Nicholas did an awesome job writing the code. He had it up and running in a couple weeks. And I think if anybody's used the AWS console, the hardest part is configuring the policies just right. I wanted to give him the freedom to kind of play around in there, but not like break things or make a bucket public, or all the bad things that can happen, check in a password, and then all of a sudden you're mining Bitcoins. So, and then one other thing was the managed compute environment AMIs were always kind of a pain because they had 20 gigabytes of space, and that's like entirely useless for any of the workflows that we've ever tried to run. And so you have to build a custom AMI, which you then have to go and update, and it's just was becoming a pretty big pain. So I was excited to see a couple weeks ago that the EC2 launch templates are now supported. So I can go back and re-architect these and basically say, hey, when you turn on this default AMI, just attach an EBS volume to it. So that's really cool. I mean, I think we've been using Batch since the day it came out, and it's, every time they release a new feature, it's super useful to us. So I think they're doing a good job of listening to their customers and understanding how they can improve their products. So what are the results of Nicholas's workflow? Well, it takes about 35 minutes to run. It costs about $26 on a P2 instance. And so why are we using P2 instances? Well, it turns out the computation is actually the fast part. It takes a little while for it to start up. It takes even longer for it to download the chunk from S3. It takes a very long time to load the conformers into memory. And once that's in place, it only takes a couple minutes to perform the calculation. So some things that I'd love to see in the future, I think if there are SSDs available on the GPU instances, that would help. I know they've been doing that with a lot of other instance classes, so I'm guessing it's just a matter of time. S3 transfer is always getting faster, so that performance will continue to improve. And then this architecture is going to scale forever. As these databases grow, we'll just get wider and wider and wider, turning on more and more instances until Amazon tells us we can't turn on anymore. If that can happen, I'm not sure. So AWS Batch is great at building out fixed and distributed workloads. The problem is computational chemists don't really do fixed and distributed workloads. They want to go and take their fast rocks hit. They want to dock them. They want to find the ones that docked well. They want to do a molecular dynamics simulation. They want to run FEP. And then they want to go and do some machine learning on the compounds to figure out which ones are probably going to be the best soluble, and those are the ones that they're actually going to order. So this piece is really missing right now. And what I'd love to see is more tooling. I think that we got to get the computational chemists as far away as possible from the actual console and give them what they need to be able to load data sets in, tag them appropriately, manage them, send them to through different jobs, and manage our data sprawl, manage our technical debt. If we let computational chemists go and create all their own batch workflows, I can only imagine what it would turn into. So that's what I'd love to see in the future. And in summary, I just want to thank everybody from Relay, especially Nicholas and his mentors, Brandy and Dimitri, Levi and Pat as well in the computation group, as well as AWS, Elliot for all his biotech bucks, and Paul for very helpful conversations with AWS Batch. Thanks.